forces in this world, both mutant and human alike, believe that a war is coming. Anything happens.
Welcome back, everyone. The Russo brothers are at it again. They posted another Avengers Doomsday video using their production company's TikTok account, and it is very weird, as you would expect from TikTok. This is not the first time the Russos have posted a cryptic Avengers Doomsday teaser. Their last one was just them sitting in a chair behind the scenes. This one features costumes for Sue Storm, Franklin Richards, and Dr. Doom all positioned next to each other. So the minute that this hit, there were all kinds of theories about what it means, but I think we figured out what's actually going on and what they're not doing. There are a lot of iconic comic book moments that they are adapting from Time Runs Out and Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars run, but they are also just completely avoiding or not doing some of those comics. I think this new video does confirm some of the concept art leaks from earlier this year that were meant to be live-action adaptations of some of these plot elements from Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars in the God Emperor Doom and Battleworld plots. So we will break it all down because the Russos did reveal back at Comic-Con 2023 that their versions of Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars would adapt elements of Time Runs Out in the more recent Secret Wars crossover. They're not going to do a carbon copy paste to screen adaptation, but there'll be elements and Easter eggs for those original comic book runs. So most of us has just been expecting to see Easter eggs from that in the teasers that leak out before they drop the official trailer, and streets are also now saying that might be in December with Avatar Fire and Ash, so if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Early this morning, you might have seen Russo brothers posted this Avengers Doomsday video on the social account for their production company Agbo Films. This is the company they used to produce all their post-Avengers Endgame Marvel movies after they left. They kept doing non-Marvel movies with Avengers actors though, like The Gray Man with Chris Evans, the Extraction Netflix movies with Chris Hemsworth. They were also just in the middle of developing a non-Marvel movie for Robert Downey Jr. with his production company when Kevin Feige asked Robert Downey Jr. to come back as Dr. Doom a couple years ago. Robert Downey Jr. also revealed that he said he would come back on the condition that Kevin Feige also bring the Russos back to direct the next Avengers movies, and then the rest was history. Starting at the beginning of this video, I think the only reason why they're teasing the Iron Man and Dr. Doom helmets in the same frames together, I think is just winking at the idea that Robert Downey Jr. himself is coming back, and he used to play Tony Stark Iron Man in the MCU.
In order to see the path forward from there. What's fascinating about what we did with that, and we've always loved the Marvel experiment. We think it's really unique in movie history and see an ending to that arc. What's compelling about these two new Avengers movies is they're a beginning. It's a new beginning.
The only thing I think they're doing with Iron Man as a character, just in general in Avengers Doomsday, like big moments that we're talking here, is play up the character reveal of Dr. Doom looking just like Tony Stark from the MCU. So all the MCU characters will have this moment of utter shock when they think that their Tony Stark is back and then suddenly tries to start killing them before they discover that he's Victor Von Doom in a totally different person from a different universe who just happens to look exactly like their dead friend. There's been a lot of talk about what's in that first official Avengers Doomsday trailer. There's supposedly going to be a lot of Dr. Doom heavy footage. I hope that they keep his face covered in these early teasers that they do officially release. Save the mask reveal for the actual movie itself, even though we all know that it's Robert Downey Jr. underneath there. It would be very weird if he never wears his mask in live action. He's usually seen in his mask in the comics. It's very rare to see him without it. We actually saw a 1960s design language version of it in the Fantastic Four post-credit scene because his Dr. Doom is meant to come from the 828 universe where the Fantastic Four movie took place. I also think we're all in agreement when we think that Franklin Richards was healing his face a little with the power cosmic. That's why he was touching his face and he had taken his mask off to show Franklin his face. All to explain how he walks around in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars looking like Tony Stark without his mask, and his face is an ultra disfigured like comic book Doom, and it's more of a Phantom of the Opera situation where there's just like a heavy scar on his face. HBO did something like this with Tyrion Lannister during Game of Thrones. In the books, he gets his nose completely chopped off, like he's very disfigured for the rest of the run, but on the TV show, they just gave Peter Dinklage's Tyrion a scar, toning the face damage way down. Just expect the treatment to be a little bit more like this with Dr. Doom in Avengers Doomsday. The actual Dr. Doom mask that they're using in this video isn't meant to be 100% movie accurate to Doomsday. It's just a toy replica that you could go out and buy at a store, closer to the one that they used during the actual Comic-Con reveal. It's not the same one from the Comic-Con reveal, but it's similar to that. that anybody and their sister could go out and buy. We actually just got a leak of his movie armor a little while ago. I just did a video about that. This is closer to what it might look like. But like I said, this is also different from the Fantastic Four post-credit scene in that version of his armor. In the background of this new video, you can see Sue Storm and Franklin Richards costumes with Doctor Doom's suit, but it is the suit from the Comic-Con reveal. It's not the same suit from the Fantastic Four post-credit scene, mind you. I think this is because the offices of the Russo's production company here are open for anybody and their sister to walk in. There's a receptionist desk here in the lobby, but it's just a general movie memorabilia all over the place from the movies that they've worked on in props that they've taken from their film sets. I don't think that they would leave this huge Doctor Doom spoiler for his armor in Doomsday in plain sight for anybody to see. Otherwise, we would have heard about this a long time ago.
Basically, my office has just become a storage vault because we're always on set somewhere. We have tons and tons of movie memorabilia from the last 2 decades in the business hiding in our office.
So I think the idea is that they're just winking more at this Secret Wars concept art that leaked out a while ago of them being near Doom, in the ideas that Sue Storm is just protecting Franklin Richards. Like, that's why she's near both of them. In Doctor Doom is keeping Franklin close to him. But the main point here is the focus on Franklin Richards, not so much on Sue Storm and Doctor Doom. We also learned in another leak that their suits are going to change during Avengers Doomsday a little bit. For instance, in this you can see that Franklin Richards is wearing overalls, and some of the Fantastic Four are wearing jackets on top of their 1960s uniforms. But in this Russo brothers video, these are the old costumes from the Fantastic Four post-credit scene. So this is why I think that Marvel let them put these here, because they're not absolute spoilers for Avengers Doomsday. Most of you probably recognize what was going on inside this Secret Wars concept art too, and it is Secret Wars because he's wearing the white Doom armor, which is God Emperor Doom, not regular Doctor Doom. In the background, you can see Sue Storm standing with a little Franklin Richards, like she's got her hands on him. Basically meant to be an adaptation of this comic book panel of Doctor Doom in his throne room with everybody around him, including Sue Storm and Franklin Richards. Here's the thing though, I do not think that they're going to adapt the Secret Wars subplot where Doctor Doom was secretly in love with Sue Storm for years, then when he changes reality as God Emperor Doom in Battleworld, during that he changes Sue Storm's memory in all the Fantastic Four characters so that she always thinks that she was in love with him, and Franklin Richards and Valeria both think that Doctor Doom has always been their father. I think of all the stuff that they're adapting from the original comic book versions of all this, the Franklin Richards and the Fantastic Four characters' subplots will be the most changed from the original comic book plot. Based on all the footage we've seen already, all the post-credit scenes and all the teasers, everything the Russos have said, the other actors have said, I think that they're only doing the story here that Doctor Doom takes Franklin with him after this moment in that post-credit scene because he wants to prevent anyone from using his power cosmic to make more incursions.
Extra dimensional, what does that mean?
And instead of the power of the Beyonders, or like the Beyonders subplot from the original Time Runs Out storyline, they're substituting Franklin's power cosmic in the TVA with the Void in their technology to explain how everybody winds up on Battleworld at the end of the movie in the beginning of Secret Wars. You remember the TVA is supposed to be a big part of the movie. There was another teaser of the characters filming scenes at the TVA in Avengers Doomsday. They're going to be bringing Loki back from the end of Loki Season 2. They'll all be key for how everybody winds up on Battleworld at the end of the movie, which will basically be the Void from the Loki series and from Deadpool and Wolverine. But if it wasn't clear, just because this video is kind of confusing, I don't think there's going to be any Doctor Doom Sue Storm romance subplot going on in the background. Like, they're not doing any of that stuff. You also have to remember that when Kevin Feige decided to bring the Russos back for both Doomsday and Secret Wars, they also brought back their writer from Avengers Infinity War and Endgame and the Captain America movies and completely rewrote all of Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, some of it taking to like the last possible minute. A lot of the movies they shot without actually having a finished script. They're actually in the middle of doing reshoots right now for Avengers Doomsday before they start shooting Secret Wars, and I would not be surprised if they continue to change the script through all the reshoots. That's also one of the reasons why Robert Downey Jr. wanted the Russos specifically to come back, because they work really well together with his style of filmmaking. Typically, most actors are asked to be word perfect to scripts. Not Robert Downey Jr. though. He just uses the script as a starting point and then just goes from there and does what he wants to do. So far, Marvel has managed to make that work for them in all of Robert Downey Jr.'s Marvel movies. One of the other examples for how Robert Downey Jr.'s own personal style of filmmaking has influenced the way they do the Marvel movies in general is the way they do his Iron Man armor. Way back in the day when they started filming the Iron Man movies, he started by wearing the full armor suits, but at a certain point during the later movies, he just started wearing dots all over himself and then just doing like a single reference scene with some of the armor on, which is why in the later movies, you still see shots of him wearing parts of the armor, but it's only for very brief scenes, with most of the rest of the time him just walking around with dots on himself. Just because special effects had gotten to the point where they could actually pull that off, it wasn't always quite as convincing as other times. Like during the Ironheart series more recently, they tried to have her in more practical armor suits more often than say like Robert Downey Jr. Also for budget reasons too. When you do special effects on that level for that many scenes, it drives the budget way, way up. It is actually way cheaper to just have somebody walk around in an armor suit. So we will see how much of Dr. Doom's armor suit during Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars is practical and how much of it is him just walking around in dots and then just putting it on in post-production. Probably a little bit of both. I would not be surprised if a lot of the rest of their marketing campaign just relies on these weird teasers that aren't actually teasers or trailers like you would expect them. Marketing the movie with teasers that don't actually give away any real footage. But I do like the theory that Franklin Richards thinks that he's helping Doctor Doom save the multiverse, and that's why he goes with him after this post-credit scene, and it's also why this Doctor Doom is worthy enough to wield Thor's hammer despite being the main villain of the next two movies. I already talked about that Easter egg in my last video, so click here for that, and there's a bunch of other stuff coming up, so click here for all my other Avengers Doomsday videos and Marvel videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.